Hello, my name is Abigail Wolgamott and this is my paper, The Silencing Effect of Cancel Culture. I'd like to talk to you today about an issue within our society, one that is silently rebuilding the way we communicate with each other. I am referring to something known as cancel culture. This paper will start by talking about what cancel culture is and how it limits honest engagements. Let's begin with an example that may sound familiar. A student expressing their arguable opinion during a class discussion. And within hours, social media erupts. Being shamed and bullied all over social media, words being taken out of context, and names being thrown around. This student is now silenced. Not because of punishment, but because of public bullying. This is the beginning of cancel culture. While sometimes it may seem like justice is or will be served, the consequences often include hurting people's feelings and simply ruining interpersonal communication. Cancel culture creates a sense of fear and censorship that weakens interpersonal communication, sabotaging open conversation and interfering with mutual understanding. According to Michael F., cancel culture can be defined as our current tendency to punish, shame, humiliate, terminate, or otherwise cancel people who perform actions and make remarks that some people feel violate moral standards. While cancel culture may happen to try and take accountability, it often leads to no room for context, clarity, or redemption. People become afraid to speak and ask questions, so really, the only result is fear. Cancel culture is embedded in social media, and it spreads very quickly. Cancel culture doesn't fear courtrooms. Instead, it thrives on large groups of people who believe they're doing something good. The impact of cancel culture on interpersonal communication is very real. Here are 3 ways cancel culture interrupts interpersonal communications. First, it leads to self-censorship. According to Sophia Baumgartner, the biggest reason this happens is because we have a fear of being canceled. We filter what information we put out, especially online, in fear of getting canceled, or being outcasted for having different opinions or beliefs. People tend to shy away from their honest opinions, all because of the fear of being socially punished. This is extremely dangerous to communications. If we go back to our college example, where learning and expressing feelings are essential for growth, we begin to see that censoring thoughts or feelings is concerning. Second, cancel culture is the beginning of burning trust within our society. This can begin in friendships, families, and work environments. When individuals have to constantly feel like they're being under investigation, they begin to shut down. Conversations can then become weak, short, and lack overall, all to avoid something that could go wrong. Third, empathy is silenced. Instead of taking a little bit of time to try and understand a different viewpoint, cancel culture causes immediate judgment. People are often known for their worst rather than any good intentions or any growth that may have occurred. According to Sophia Baumgartner, cancel culture promotes online bullying and can incite violence and threats that could possibly result in the suicide of the offender in the situation. Instead of shaming people who have made insensitive comments, we should be giving them the opportunity to reform themselves and grow from that experience. This is a good example as to why we need to have empathy for people. We don't know what people can be going through. If somebody was having a difficult time in their life and they had said something they didn't mean, we should try to take the time and talk to them privately and tell them it wasn't okay, instead of involving too many other people to cause an unnecessary scene. Now that problems and effects have been discussed, what can we do to fix them? We need to teach people how to understand social media better and think deeply. We need to take a moment and look at the full perspective of different thoughts before we rush to judge someone. We should try to understand what somebody is saying and why they said it before jumping to a negative outlook. Instead of becoming angry and having a punishment ready, we should ask ourselves questions to see the opposite point of view. We also need to create a safer space for open communication. According to Brad Brenner, a way we can do that is by implementing policies and guidelines that encourage respectful communication. By fostering a culture of empathy and understanding, we can create a more inclusive and compassionate society. Mitigating the negative impacts of cancel culture on mental health and societal well-being. Communication is something we use every day, so we need to make sure people feel safe when communicating. We should not have to live every day being scared of becoming a victim of cancel culture. This does not mean we should ever ignore harmful behavior or ignore people if they say something offensive. To be fair, I think we should always hold people accountable for their actions. But that does not mean we need to respond to the negative actions with even more negative actions on our end, because as they say, 2 wrongs don't make a right. We shouldn't make bullying a trend just because it's cool or funny to call somebody out. Cancel culture tends to forget that we all have emotions and that we all make plenty of mistakes. But those mistakes also help us grow as people. When you hear something that may be hurtful to another person, take a moment. Even if you have to remove yourself from the conversation, it is okay to be upset, but at the same time, you need to ask yourself why might they have said that, or if you think they know the impact of their own words. Before we start reacting, we need to make sure we are reacting reasonably, not out of hatred or anger. You should always try to put yourself in the shoes of the other person. If you had said something by accident, would you want it to be spread around? Sometimes people say things and they don't mean harm from it. We have to make things a learning lesson to be able to grow together. And at the end of the day, we all need to work on listening before we rush to make a decision that could cause harm to somebody's life. So, in conclusion, cancel culture creates a sense of fear and censorship that weakens interpersonal communication, sabotaging open conversation and interfering with mutual understanding. What can we start as holding somebody accountable can quickly become public backlash, leaving no room for explanation. When people become too scared to speak up, communication suffers. We lose opportunities to grow, learn, and trust each other as a society. Cancel culture targets communication, the only thing we have to keep communities and relationships we value. Instead of acting out of anger, we need to start listening. Tearing people apart and bullying them is not holding people accountable. We need to start having productive conversations to learn why they might have done what they did. And then we try and learn from it. Again, we all make mistakes. Should we always be defined by our mistakes, though? Or should we all be given chances to change? We have the option to change communication as we all know it. We all need to start by having honest conversations. Next time something is said that you don't agree with, take the time to try and be more understanding. This is how we create change, one conversation, one connection, one community at a time. Thank you.